Tanya, thank you for today. I'll try my whole best to do my best of English. We got a fine gentleman over here. Romain, please pronounce your own surname so that I understand as well.
So my surname is Trousset and my first name is Romain. In South Africa, it's Romain or Roman Trousset, depending on the person who pronounces it. It's fine. Usually I identify easily and I respond.
And you are French.
I'm French. I was born and bred in France and trained as an animal scientist. I'm an animal nutritionist, and then I moved to South Africa as an expatriate, working for a company involved in animal nutrition in 2004. It's a long time then.
Almost 30 years now in South Africa.
2021?
Now tell me, do you support the Springboks or not?
It depends who they play against.
So
99% of the time I do. When they play against France, my heart is still with the blue.
where it belongs.
Yes,
After the blur.
exactly.
Is it Le Bleu?
The blue, yeah.
Le Bleu. Romain, you're an animal scientist, nutritionist.
Good.
Is that how you describe yourself?
That's right.
And how did you get involved in animal nutrition?
Very simple. As a young boy, I had two passions: science in the first place, and nature and animals as well. And the ideal career was to embrace something which had to do with animal science, and that's what I did. So I got a MSc, a master degree in animal science, and I specialized in nutrition. And all my career I spent in animal nutrition.
We produce at EcoHealth, we had our own brand, and I felt the need to upgrade our brand because things must change. Everything changes each and every day. And to me, I'm just wondering if I was correct in my thoughts. If I'm eating X each and every day, there will be a certain point in time that I don't want to see a boiled egg. Does it happen with animals as well?
Not so much. Not so much. I think as human, we rationalize and intellectualize a lot of our experiences every day, whether it's eating, whether it's living, doing all the things we do. And animals are not so mindful about the reason why they're eating and why they're eating. The level of awareness and consciousness of this is not so strong. And I think for people to eat something the same day every day, sometimes it doesn't work. With animals, it's very different.
Now tell me which sense is the most important with, say, a dog, the taste or the smell?
The smell, definitely, with our image. So a dog has 100 times more taste buds, which allow you to smell, than a human. So the senses in the dog's nose are 100 times more present than for human. But it is a
Sensitive.
Yeah. Okay. In terms of taste in the mouth, it's a lot less than the human actually. So a dog smells very well to the point that they see the world in between inverted commas as we see it with our eyes, they see it with their nose. So when you walk into a room, immediately your brain figures out the information that's coming through your eyes and intuitively knows, okay, there are so many people in that room. This is the type of colors I see, the depth, the width, the volume of the room, etc. And the dog does the same, but with his nose. So a dog knows exactly where everything is, what everything is, as they move along, thanks to their olfactive sense. So it's definitely the most developed of the sense.
So if we upgrade the Health for Paws brand, which I want to do, I need to add a few nutritional aspects to our current brand. How do we develop or how do we use the dog senses or their smell to like our new brand? What do we do? How do we mask that?
So to start with, you mentioning something very important, masking. If all the ingredients that you use in your food are interesting, thus palatable, attractive for dogs, there's no need to mask them. It's just complementing each other. And if you produce something that is inherently palatable or dog, then masking is actually not the right approach. What is very important when you develop a new product or new upgrade product is to do it from technical perspective in terms of nutrition, in terms of sensory experience, in terms of palatability, in everything you want to achieve in terms of health and so on, but then connect this with economics. If I had the opportunity to develop the highest level of nutrition and the highest standards of nutrition, there's a good chance that we would not sell one bag because it would be so expensive that it would make it unaffordable. So it's very important to match the two. What are your customers looking for in terms of price range, in terms of budget? And in that budget, what is it that you can do to maximize all the aspects that make pet nutrition good and valuable?
And healthy.
Enough. Exactly. Valuable from a health perspective, from a palatability perspective, etc. And all those criteria you decide upon, and you need to fit this within the economic constraints, which is the reality of your customers, of pet parents in South Africa, in the world.
EcoHealth focus on natural health. But in one of our discussions that we had when we discussed the possibility of upgrading our pig food, our dog range, you mentioned to me that there's a couple of things that every responsible pet owner should know about dog food. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, I can grow it a lot, so please stop me. Take too long. But the way I see nutrition or pets is we need to, as nutritionists, we need to deliver nutrients to the dog bowl. It's not like a vending machine where you put a coin in at a little slot and then you press a button and then the whatever you bought falls at the bottom. To achieve this, there's a whole dynamic of digestion. The digestive tract starts in the mouth and ends up in the rectum of the dog. And all the steps in between the mouth and the end are playing a very important role in terms of nutrition. So when you want to deliver certain nutrients in certain quantities with a certain kinetic, meaning a dynamic that involves time and different levels, you need to take into account all these steps. The first step, which is very important and overlooked, and the reason why it is very often overlooked is because there is a sense in people to always look for for the silver bullet. You know, if I can achieve everything with one little pill or one little supplement, then it's a very attractive thought. But in fact, to balance nutrition overall is a big effort. It starts with a baseline. If the baseline is not correct, healthy, balanced, and palatable, you can add anything you want in terms of herbs, supplements, vitamins, enzymes, whatever we want to talk about. It will not achieve the purpose that you're looking for. I'll give you an example. If you eat hamburgers all day long, every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and if you drink 2 liters of soda per day, I'm trying not to give brands, it's not exactly what we would call a healthy diet for people, okay? You can take all the vitamin supplements you want, all the omega-3 pills you want, anything you want, it will not fix the baseline. The baseline is what sets the packs. And for pet nutrition, like for human nutrition, it is very important to get that baseline right. Now, what is in the baseline is a mix of macronutrients, so energy, protein, which can be both different compounds. So if you bring energy from carbohydrates, you can bring energy from fats. Protein comes in different form. And there's also ingredients in pet food that are not digestible, like fibers. Fiber is not digestible by dogs. However, it plays a very important role, not for the dog itself, but for the cats, but for the microbiome, for the bacteria that live inside the digestive tract of the dog, particularly in the large intestine. So all of this constitutes the baseline. On top of this, you add micro elements, so minerals, vitamins, and so on. And the third layer for me, which is paramount, is to control the risk of contaminants. Because dogs eat the same thing every day, like you mentioned earlier, but also in proportion to their body weight, they eat large quantity of food compared to humans. If you weigh what you eat every day on a dry matter basis, so you remove by calculation the water component of what you eat every day, and you calculate the ratio between that weight and your body weight as a human, and if you do the same with dogs, you will see that dogs eat a lot more in proportion to their body weight. So it's really important to be specific about pet nutrition. A dog that is, let's say, 40 kilos is going to eat 400 grams of dry food per day. This is a huge percentage of the body weight.
Now, you're telling me a lot of things now. So, are these things expressed onto the labels of dog food? Or how should we decode the labels of dog food in light of what you've just told me?
It's a very good question, and I'm afraid it's not possible. The labels are a legal requirement. In other words, the legislation in South Africa and in other countries stipulates that on a label of a pet food product, such and such and such criteria must be indicated. Are these criteria indicative of the quality of the pet food? Yes and no. Some of them are interesting, but some of them are completely irrelevant. And some of them are only interesting if you have access to a bit more information. I'll give you an example. Protein. Protein for a lot of pet parents is a very important criteria when it comes to the quality of pet food. So particularly in South Africa, a lot of people think that the higher the protein, the better. But the real question is not how much protein. The real question is how much of this protein is digestible. This is not on the label. And where is it coming from? If I give you a short question between feathers, a steak, and soya, which contains the most protein, what would you say?
Perhaps feather.
Yeah, feathers, because you've got a good level of knowledge and insight into this kind of ingredients. Most people think it's in steak. Some people maybe say soya. Actually, out of the three, fresh steak has the least amount of protein. And soya has more protein, and feathers has the highest protein. But is the quality of the protein from feathers a good indicator of its quality, or good in terms of quality? The answer is no. Is protein easily digested by dogs? The answer is no. So it's not about the total amount of protein. It's about everything that...
The quality of the protein and the source of protein that you need.
It's a little bit... If I try to make an easy comparison, how do you judge a book? Okay, as the saying goes, by its cover. But let's say we judge a book by how thick it is. If it's thick, then there's rough content. It must be good, But what is the font size that is being used, and what is the content of the book? It's more important than the thickness of the book. You get books that are very thin but very interesting, and you get books that are very thick and you don't want to finish it because it's boring and empty of content. It's a little bit the same with protein, and it goes the same with all nutrients. So if you couple this to the fact that a lot of pet food companies have developed these incredible capabilities of marketing stories that appeal to people, it is a market which is very deceiving and is using the label to put something forward, which is not always a reflection of the true quality of the food. So it takes a fair amount of expertise and understanding of pet nutrition to judge the pet food only by the label.
So the label is not indicative of the quality. That's what you're saying.
It is only indicative as much as the pet food company wants to make it. So there are many ways to hide the truth. And it's not only for low quality pet food. You get very pricey, very high quality pet food that are also disguising truth through the label. I'll give you another example. Again, with protein. A lot of people think that protein being the first ingredient is a big indicator of pet food quality. I'm saying it's not the case, because with the same recipe, you could switch protein ingredients on top of the list, or you can switch protein ingredients in the middle of the list. How do you do this? There's two ways to do it. They are very simple. You do what is called ingredient splitting. Let's say you include lentils in your dog food. So lentils is the first ingredient, 50% inclusion. So it's a huge inclusion. But now, instead of having one line for lentils in my recipes, I have three lines. Red lentils, green lentils, gray lentils. So it splits 13% each. So I'll get to my 50% in total. You follow? Okay. So I haven't changed the recipe. It's just different colors of lentils. It does nothing to the nutritional value of the food. But all of a sudden, any ingredient more than 13% is going to be above all the lentils. Where before, with one type of lentils, at 50% total lentil content, there's no ingredient that can be above.